we've got a computer at the moment in our office that we know how to make work, but nobody else knows how to work. That's because there's something that we know that nobody else knows. As a matter of fact, there's apparently a loose connection in the machine somewhere, and we have to whack it on both sides at the same time, just in the right place, in order to get it started. Did you ever have an automobile or a kitchen appliance like that, or you know how to make the darn thing go, but nobody else knew the secret? Well, modules can be that way. You can build modules that work magnificently when they're under your control, that is, when you administer them, but that don't work at all when somebody else administers them. We recently ran across the case of the rickety auditing course. It seems this course worked like gangbusters at corporate headquarters when it was taught there. But when they sent it out to the field, it didn't work hardly at all. And the instructors naturally complained that the developers didn't know their job. Well, to a small degree they were true, but what they were doing out in the field was changing the order in which the material was being taught. They even dropped out a couple of modules. And in some instances they would look at the material that was sent and say, we don't need this, so I will stand up in the classroom and wing it. And so they did that. But had the developers done to that course what you're about to do to your module, they may have avoided that kind of problem. Of course, there's only so much you can do to user-proof your work, but there are things you can do that will increase the probability that the module will be used in the way that you know it has to be used in order for it to do its job. And that's the last step. You have a module that works when you run it, when you offer it. Now you need to add to it the ingredients that will make it work when it's in the hands of somebody else. First, think about who's going to be administering the module. Will it be an instructor? Will the instructor be knowledgeable in instructional technology, in the subject matter? Will there be a lot of instructor turnover? Oh, if so, you may have to put words in their mouths and tell them exactly what to say, or put it on videotape. Will the module be administered by the students themselves? Will it be sort of self-instructional? Will the module be administered by a computer? Once you've thought about who or what will administer the module, next step is to review your learning environment description. And then list the sorts of things that you may need to add so that somebody else can administer the module the way you administer it. For example, to make your module work in somebody else's hands, you may need to put together an instructor manual. You may need to put together some lesson plans. You may need to put together some equipment lists or material lists that will tell them what to get in preparation for working through the module. You may need to create some orientation notes for the kind of session that you had at the beginning of this workshop, to get people started, tell them what the rules of the game will be, tell them where to find the things that they will need as they work their way through the course. You may need some module notes if the course is going to be administered by an instructor. These notes prepare the instructor for each module, tell them what to look out for, tell them how to handle the kinds of problems that you know might arise. You may even need to do some color coding. I recall that a surgical professor of plastic surgery at Tulane University once wrote some instructional materials and put them in modular form, and then shaped the modules so that they would fit into the lab coat of the students. But he made them long enough so that the modules would stick out of the pocket of the student. And then he color-coded them. He made the covers of these modules different colors so that he could walk down the hall in the hospital and tell exactly which module the students were working on. He knew where they were, he knew what kinds of questions they were likely to ask, what kinds of equipment they were likely to ask for and need for what they were doing. Very much he used color coding the way we use the master progress plotter as a means of showing us where people are and what we have to do to prepare for tomorrow. Well, as I said, you may need an instructor manual. There is the leader's guide as an example that we put together for the film session of who did what to whom. Now this is a practice film. It's not a movie. It doesn't administer itself. It doesn't stand alone. What it consists of is a series of independent scenes that happen to be connected on the same film by 5 seconds of black leader in between the scenes. And so you don't run it from beginning to end. So what do you do with it? Well, we created the leader's guide to help people to learn how to put it together. We described the room arrangement. We even give them some suggestions as to how they might arrange the room for the session. We suggest how they might handle the projector, the lighting, and then we describe to them how to run a session. And then finally, there are the scene pages, where each scene is indicated here at the top. In other words, here is the script for scene number 1. This is what people will hear when they watch the scene. And then there is an introductory comment. This is what the instructor should say before showing the scene. And then here are the questions to ask students after showing the scene. And here is indented is a typical response that they should expect. And then on the lower left, there is an interpretation of the scene for the instructor's use, so that the instructor will understand the purpose of the scene and what the scene is illustrating. The interpretation is not there to be offered to the students unless they ask that kind of question. So there is an example of one kind of guide that needed to be put together in order to make the module usable by someone else. Now, once you've drafted the pieces you need, then find 2 people to help you try it out. You're going to need an administrator and a tester. You're going to need 2 folks this time. So hand the material to the administrator, give that person a chance to look it over and ask you whatever kinds of questions he or she may have, and then, you know how to do this, stand back and be a chair, but keep your pencil poised over your notebook. When the tryout is ended, be sure to thank the people for their help and their assistance. Now that you've got 2 working modules, the only thing left for me to do is to say, and I say this with a great deal of sincerity, welcome to the club.